women will want to resort quickly. So we are wired differently. And we need to understand when you disagree with your wife, you are love life partners. So there's no way, there's no way you can avoid each other. You are partners and you are permanent to be property of each other. And I put the property in apostrophes, not property like a car or, wardrobe or whatever. And the man or woman in a marriage doesn't know himself, whether you or your wife. You don't know yourself until you are married. Sometimes you are cool until you have children. They mess up the house. They do things, they will tempt you to be angry. And you say you are cool, you are a patient person. You don't know yourself until you are married. And your level of tolerance will be challenged. Your love, your frustration, your anger, and so on. These are all the things that happen every day. I have my little boy, they come around, they would say a lot of things about me. They will call me bad boy. You see, because they behave very, very nicely. They say, oh, Dad, and Grandpa, you're a bad boy. Because I didn't break that thing, you broke it. You see? He's a good boy, and Dad is a bad guy. The question is, why am I a bad guy? You see? So, it should not compare the other with another couple. Don't compare your husband with another husband. And don't compare your wife with another wife. Don't do that. Because there's no green pasture. No green pasture outlook. And that's what we call green pasture. Once you start looking at the wife or for that person, your husband or for that person, there's no green pasture. And each owes giving peace in marriage, tolerance in argument. You have to be tolerant and hence reach out for reconciliation. A good marriage does not happen. It has to be managed throughout the life. It does not just happen. And it involves hard work, both man and woman. Both of you need to reconcile, you need to cooperate. You need to work as a team. And a lot of time to settle things, you have to use those magic words. I'm sorry. Or, let's say, what else do you use? I'm sorry, I admit, please, and so on. Those are all the words that gives peace a chance. Women, sometimes we are too, we're too proud to say that. And that's when the argument will prolong. Yes, and moreover, there is necessity of love and respect. It's a cycle. When you respect somebody, he has to love you. When you don't love somebody, you don't respect the person. It has to be a cycle. It has to be mutual. Love and respect. Now, remember, your children, they are watching you. Everything you do, everything you say at home, they are listening. And that's the way they plan their own life, argument. So they are watching you. They form their opinions on love. They form their opinion on commitment. And they form their opinion on what marriage is all about. If you fight all the time, they are going to fight when they get married. They are. Our parents did that, so you need to watch out. And also people surrounding you, around you, you need to watch out for them. All the, the advice they give you. It can break your marriage and it can build it. So you need to be very careful, And then advice from a single person, somebody that is not married. You need to be very careful because the advice they're giving you is theory. They don't have experience because they are single. So you need to watch out. You have to be wise. And a successful marriage does not require a big house, a mansion, or a fat car, or big money. Those things can still not work in your marriage. It can cause it to flop if you're not careful. And couples should not pride themselves on the strength and weaknesses of each other. You will know the weakness or the strength of your wife or the husband. Don't pride on it. Don't take advantage of those weaknesses, for sure. And, next one, sir. So, moreover, we men, all the women, the wife. We need to guard our tongue. Our tongue, what we say can break the marriage and can make it. You know, when you use your tongue your mouth to bless people, if you use it also to curse people, that's not consistent. So you need to watch out for that. Divorce should not happen. They even say, they joke, they say even bad relationship, the children will still do good in a bad relationship. But divorce is not something one should seek for. It has adverse impact, negative impact on the marriage, even on the family, and on the children. Unless extenuating circumstances, you can divorce. Maybe you're going to kill each other, you can divorce. Otherwise, don't seek divorce. And in family interactions, it is important to maintain calm tone, particularly women, calm tone, and self-control. Don't gulp in what we call it, anger all the time. In anger, you can do something that will cause the marriage to end right there if you don't control your anger. So, in family interaction, it is important to maintain a calm tone, self-control, and let go of hard feeling. Don't keep grudges. Don't keep grudges. And like we say, when we say forgiveness is easy, but you're going to remember. When you remember, don't take action. Don't take action. Your wife will offend you or the husband will offend you. So, be careful very well not to, offend each other. And also, yes, okay. So, avoid physical or mental torture. Particularly in this culture we are, when you become physical with your wife, the government is going to take side. That's the way it is, whether you like it or not. They're going to take side with the woman. And once the police start visiting you, you are in a bad shape because you are in their black book right there. So you need to avoid physical or mental abuse and accept God as the pillar of your marriage. Turn to Him whenever you have any problem. Don't turn to human beings. Human beings have their own problems. They have their own problems. So don't turn to human being. Also, the question is, let's move on to the next one. What is family? We already talked about marriage. What is family? It's a group of people, whether two or more, related. When we say family, are you related? You are related by birth, or related by marriage, or by adoption. People you adopt, they form part of your marriage, And the family consists of people who support and love you. Particularly, love your wife, love your husband. When you start growing old, you have to take care of each other. You have to take care of each other. If you hate your wife, he won't take care of you when you're getting old. Or if you hate your husband, you don't like your husband, he will have excuses not to take care of you when you're getting old. So, love each other. And families are indented to different cultures. What does that mean? So many cultures, they can define family in a different way. When you look at people in Sudan, people in Kano, people in so many countries, family is a different definition for them. So, it's indented into different cultures, in that each family has its own values. Each family has its own values, has its own rituals, what they observe, has its own custom, belief, values, and practices. Something they do. They do every year and so on. So, what are the forms of families we're talking about? It could be the nuclear family, you and your wife. That's the nuclear family. It could be extended family. That's when you have your brothers, your in-laws, and, those people with you. How about single parent? We understand what that means. Singles, it's always difficult for a bird to fly with one wing. See, it's difficult. It's going to get tired. So, when you see single parent, you need to be there for them, to help them. They're going through a lot of hard times. How about same-sex parent families? That's the one we don't, we don't approve, but it happened in this world we are here. How about blended families? You may bring children. You bring children from previous marriage. They form part of your family. You need to know it's very difficult, those children. They tell you, you're not my father, so you can't control me. That's a big problem. Or, or it could be a girl or a boy. Say, you're not my father, you can't control me. Or it could be the other way. You're not my mother, you can't control me. So that's part of the blended family. How about foster or adopt? Maybe you adopt some children, they are part of your family. And also, why is family? Why is it so important? We're talking about family. Why is it so important? It provides fundamental source of emotional support. I remember when I was young, whenever I'm hungry, I go to my sister, to my grandmother, to anyone within the family, and I will eat. I'll be okay. I'll be fine, Or whenever I tell you a story, I was a family of mine. I was driving a small Volkswagen. So when I saw him, I bowed down. I said, come here. I bought pencil for you when you were in your primary school. Now you see me, you just bending down. So I had to get out of the car, prostrated, and let go. That's the thing you experience with our families. So, security, sense of belonging, particularly if your family is very popular, you kind of feel secured, And also it means feeling safe, having someone you can trust, with whom you can share your problems. It also means respect and responsibility towards each other. You have to respect each other very well. Okay? So, it's all about encouragement, understanding, hope. Sometimes you struggle together and you believe things will get better in the future. It takes the two of you to work. You need comfort. You need advice. There are some situations you're at a crossroad. You ask your wife, or the wife will ask the husband, what should we do? Where should how should I approach this thing? Also the morality, ideal, and faith. So strong family, we express appreciation and affection. Strong families have strong commitment to each other. Commitment. I think we've said that in Yoruba Association. Commitment is different from, remind me, it's different from involvement. You're not getting involved. You committed to it. So, a strong family have a strong commitment to each other. They spend enjoyable time together. Work. Sometimes you need to have time with the family. We call it a quality time. And a strong family, they manage stress and crisis effectively. In this world, there's adversity. Things can happen to the wife in the family, and it could be to the husband. You have each other to share. When you have adversity, that's when you know who you are, the characteristics of yourself or the wife, And that's when you see somebody in the street, you have idea what that person, can be going through. Because from your own self, people carry a lot of things on their chest. You have to be able to respect other people because you don't know what they're going through. Moreover, God, like I said earlier, God is the only solution to your problems. Don't talk to a human being. They have their own problems. And they, when you seek advice badly, you're going to get bad advice. You see the way I put it? You seek advice badly, you're going to get bad advice if you're not careful. And also, family brings strong identity, shared experience, and sense of purpose, sense of spiritual well-being. And moreover, though, I put a clause there. It is important to set boundaries, between you, the married couple, and the extended families. Don't let your in-laws, or don't take your marriage problem to your in-law. Settle it first, settle it first. Don't take it to your friends. They're going to give you bad advice, okay? So involving family in the marital matters can sometimes worsen them. Next, sir. Now, let's go to relationship. Relationship. We talk about marriage. We talk about family. We talk about relationship. What is relationship? It means interpersonal link, where individuals have some degrees of influence on each other. When we say influence, ability to make some decision, ability, some level of power, that's influence right there. And then you have influence on each other's thoughts, each other's feelings, and action. Action. Particularly, don't bring cigarette to the house. Don't smoke in the house. Or don't bring alcohol to the house. Why are you saying that? The children are watching. If you smoke, your children will smoke. If you drink, your children will drink. So there are so many thoughts, you should be aware of and feeling. Relationship can encompass family. We're talking about relationship, It could be friendship or romantic partners, and are crucial to individual and community well-being with diverse form of, emerging cross-cultures. A relationship is the way in which two or more people or things or concepts are connected. When we talk about you have a relationship, your family and so on, some thoughts are connected right there. So, whether through shared experiences, sometimes, some of you are aware. I lost my father-in-law. He was 101. Any question you ask him, he was still sound in mind and body. He will share his experience in 1940s, 1930s, and so on. And we kind of wonder, how did he go through this experience? Is this kind of life, when I getting older, do I have to go through the thing? He will tell you facts of things and how he coped with a lot of things. So more concept connected, whether through shared experience, mutual interest, emotional bonds, or formal agreement. And also it can refer to the nature of how people behave towards each other. How people behave towards each other. Family, friendship, or business partnership. If we ask you, you have some friends you knew, maybe like childhood friend, and you still connect up to today. Whenever you meet, you share a lot of experience, maybe at your grammar school or university or when you are young. So this keep you is like a therapy when that happens. It's like a therapy. So business partnership, we have a business partnership. You have business, and normally when you have a business partnership, please always have a legal agreement. Legal agreement. Any partnership, business, have a legal agreement. Because when trouble comes, only that thing will get you out of the trouble. Once you have I have an example. I had two, they used to be my student, and but they like each other. They had a business partner. And they invested. They made a profit of, it's a lot of money. Now, one contributed about 100,000. The other one contributed about 800,000. So in total, that's 900,000. And when they made the profit, the one that contributed 100,000, they said, let's share it 50-50. How can that be? Let's share it 50-50. And the one that contributed 800,000 says no. So they took it to the court. And the court asked them, do you have a business agreement? They said no. Said, well, 50-50 then. You see, because you didn't have an agreement. In the agreement, you could have had it there, say any profit, it should be proportional. And let me give you another bad example. two people, they are partners. All of a sudden, one was riding a Mercedes. He was building a house. He was taking a lot of trips. So the other one didn't know what is happening until one day they got a letter from the bank, and it says you are owing so $million. And the one that doesn't know anything say, hey, friend, come, how did we owe the bank some money? He say, oh, I got a loan on the name of the company. You see, I got a loan. That's how I was. But you didn't tell me. I say, well, I thought I'd be able to pay it back. And unfortunately, they have to sell the property of the guy that didn't know anything about it. They have to sell the property of the guy that borrowed the money in order to recoup this money back. So when you have a business partnership, you need to be very careful. See, you need to be very careful. And also, it can refer, family or relationship can refer to the nature of how people behave towards you. You know, friendship, business partnership, connection between abstract things like economic or logical system. You have to be careful the friends you keep. Some don't like you, but they do the surface. Okay, so let's talk about the types of relationship. There is interpersonal. You can read this. Includes connection between people, which can be familiar or friendly or romantic or professional. There is abstract relationship. It refers to the connection between two or more non-people things, such as the economic relationship between farming and transportation. You know, if you are a business, or you can. This is what we call the supply chain. Okay, you buy product. Then the transportation, you make a friend with the owner of the fleet. That's transporting that's a relationship, and you can do what they call a forward pricing. So forward pricing. Say, okay, next year I'm going to need this amount of goods. Let's fix the price today. Let's fix the price today. Once the two of you are agreed, then that's a good relationship. So. And these are also often built on trust and love. Thank you, sir. Next one. Aha. So we talk about the key characteristics of relationship. I'm not going to read it. We have connection. We have influence. We have evolution. And we have behavior. That is the way people behave towards each other is central part of the It's very essential to the relationship. Move it forward, sir. So examples of relationship I already said. Shared tradition, quality time with your family, constructive communication, mutual support for each other or with the family. I think a lot of us, you can attest to it. You get a phone call, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. from Nigeria. Guess why they're calling? Money. They believe you printing or minting money. They actually call us ATM. You see, because out of sympathy, you help them. But to them, it's I can ask for money every time he will send. So that's the problem. So, mutual support and shared goals and values, discussing and working towards common goals as a family or couple. Next one, sir. So, that's where we are. Thank you very much for listening. And I don't know if anyone has any question or anyone wants to share. We have like maybe 5 minutes for question and answers. If you have questions, sir.
So my question is, women usually
they do what?
They deal with men.
Yeah.
Psychologically, they are more psychologically.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, say for example, you observe that
Yes.
There's a way they try to be in control of you.
Yes.
When you do this, as a man, how do you respond to that?
Yes.
You have seen, to what extent are you going to be before it's no more? Or are you supposed to be?
I don't know if everybody can hear the question. Me, okay. Repeat the question. Maybe they can hear you.
Okay. Okay, let me try and frame that question again. My question is, women deal with, most of the time they try to control you. They try to tell you, make sure that everything that they say is the thing that is done all the time. Now, be the fall guy. How do you, and you, since you've been, will you be patient enough until you get to the breaking? And of course, we know as men, if you give a woman an inch, she.
And with respect to this culture, we feel they are empowered. Women over men here. That is the truth. In actual fact, from all the things that we read on the internet and some personal experience, an endangered species, nobody listens to you. Nobody listens to you here. So, you know, are experiencing issues out here. All those nonsense that you guys were. So here we are here, and you have to just do whatever I want.
Thank you, sir. Find the root of why you're putting yourself down, or you feel behaving lazy. You know, sometimes women will take advantage of that. Need counseling, but need to talk to her, let her know your opinion. Reason you may need counseling. Our Reverend, maybe can you help us on that, sir? And online, people can dominating, and how long can we tolerate? And we have pastors here, and you know, you do counseling, I'm sure. I give. Okay. So.
The issue of okay. The issue of marriage is a very dicey one, but my own observation is that provide almost everything. That's why we are the husband. It is almost 50-50 than the men, because initially here you have to jump into the system. In the past couple of here that I bring some of our men to, right? That they brought, this thing is going down, so they have to jump on the. As a result of that, they don't even have the time to go after the right job that will get the right income. But the lady will settle down, and maybe the first job she's going to get is that job that neatly, right? Our safety boot alone, depressing for the ladies. Do we know that? Because when you were back in Africa, you were putting on 3 pieces of suit sit. That's my husband, right? But coming here, psychologically, some of them can reframe. My husband is trying to do what he has to do for the family. And you know, once you get plugged into some set of a career here, it takes grace, because you continue to do that construction work so that the income will quick is our money. Is her money, right? She can buy things. She might even send some money home before she tells you that I sent so and so. What I'm trying to say generally is this. Get here. Don't take decision on your own. Discussion. Always communicate. Not let's come on the table. Let's present the family budget. Let's talk about in the next 6 months. Not when you used to buy a house, you ask what the Lord has done. But here, let's have to discuss it, how the money is going to come in. Does she want to go to school? Do you want to go to school? Let's put everything on the table. So this is where the issue of dominance might be a little bit a curb. To fly. But if we can communicate, interact, and when you communicate, let's bring the children. When you, at least if we don't have anything to live for, let's live for these children. Let's do things the way we have to do it. So when the children is a rally point for both of you. What was the question that our brother asked? Oh, have I answered your question too? Okay. Well, okay. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, you answered my question to an extent, but what I've seen now,
Yeah.
and most of the time it stems from the fact that say we're both when we're Nigeria, we're doing everything as guy, and we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But the wife is doing well.
That,
Because
oh, okay.
guy is struggling, is trying to get better. He's not a lazy person, right? But the wife is who has a better job. Why is it that it must still be our money, the families our money is our own money? You understand? Why is it that when women get to be themselves and not the family? That's
Minute. The issue is communication. In the relationship, remember there is what the contract. Here in the age of Western world that we're trying to imitate, that we forget about our own home, our traditional marriage works, right? But when we come here, Western marriage system, then we have to adopt it. So, what are you bringing into the relationship? They spell it out from day one. We do it that way, but when we get here, we see what is happening, where they're coming from. So instead of us to now sit down, the communication, this is how we're going to get here. We want to train our children. This is how we're going to get there. Right? So different environment, and at the same time we have to like a Roma, right? But at the same time, like the presenter said, we have to, if you are a believer, whether you are a Muslim or you are a Christian, everything has to be anchored onto Eledumare, right? If you want to cut things on them, he will direct you the way you should go. So God will help us. Thank you.
Pastor.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to add to say that all relationships are not the same. So you cannot use one to be someone that you can't control again. It is making another woman to be so. It may even be a problem from the man. Separated individually. Having said that, say something from what Reverend said. The truth is that good. We have to come to. We are just coming. So we also as men, because we are coming from a system where people don't ask questions in a woman's setting. Relationship with somebody, and the person will only just be following. I said sit down. The person has to sit down. It's not really good. Now he's here now. Everybody has to come together and communicate. That's how it's supposed. Whether in Africa or in Canada or in North. In marriage, in whatsoever, even with our children. Them. The way I be a father when I was in Nigeria is not the way I am now. I now realize that I've not really been doing right, because they go ahead to do it because they know we will beat them. But here now, you now realize that, come to think about it. And sometimes they now say some things to you that you yourself will like, oh. Saying in essence is a paradigm shift for all of us. Let's look at where we are coming from. Am I correct? The way I've been approaching it in the first cut it, am I correct? So if there are areas that are just as men, when we adjust it, I think things will flow better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think we need to give a chance to the next. Have a quick question? Okay. And that will be the last question on this topic. Okay. Okay. You be the last. No, you.
Thank you, sir. My question will be quick. I just want to ask, sir. Sir, now the next generation of our advice to them, because a lot of them, some of them, when you concerning marriage, they are not interested. So, what would be your advice about procreation, communication, talking about loneliness is bad? Whether you speak from now till next year, some of them have made up their minds that. What is your take and your advice to them? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. 41 years is not very well until you get married, where patience need to come. The way you deal with your children, even your wife, also love and respect for each other. Your what you don't want them to do, don't do it. You want to do at home, sometimes have them to do it with you, anything, washing car, going somewhere, let them do it with you. And they will realize footstep, you know, they following you, you know. And the way you carry yourself is very important. Moreover, pray. Are wired differently, and that's something that came out of the question there. Women, you know, but women, we want to accomplish something quickly. You see, so I don't know if I answer your question.
Thank you. Yeah, if they have any contribution to this after this question.
Thank you. Sumi Ikedaye. Toto Shebiowe. When we look at what we are discussing right now, vis-a-vis of the Western world in marriage, and what our fathers used to do, then is it really true that has worked for me? You hardly hear of failure in marriages then. Oh, they are divorced. They are divorced. In the right way, or we are actually not being wired to follow. That's my question, sir.
Yes. So the little I can contribute to that is one word. The culture here, from our culture at home, even from our children sometimes. The way once your son is or your child is 18, they need to start paying rent. Liberty without responsibility is what is going on here. There are some things where my parents, you know, when I did something wrong, they did. I did something wrong. I cry and do that. See, you can't do that here. So it's a different culture. And the female child or children, sometimes they themselves, they find it difficult to connect. At home it's easy. You know, your parent, the parents, we know somebody's, you know, refer somebody to grandma. It's a different culture, and it's a predicament. Have a question? I thought we said this would be the last one. Make it.
Thank you, sir. I want to say that we can blend the two cultures. Things that are good in our culture from home, we can import it, and the ones that are not good, just like what PSO said, practicing back at home, that are not even good for human society. So coming to the Western world is like a leaf. I say this, that are having problem here, most, not all. So but most marriages that are having problem here, those problems are already happening at home. Express herself or himself. So coming here, the liberty, fantastic marriage back at home, where there is harmony, just like what honor for the husband, love. When you come to this place, it might be rough at the beginning. It might be rough at the beginning because that needs to be done, you know. Because the background, the foundation has been strong back at home, the wind can't break you. It can break. You will overcome, you weather the storm together, and the marriage will still be. We can blend it with what we have back at home, and we have we can blend the culture. So I will not say, oh, there are things that we should learn from here. people are also rich in good culture. You see husband and wife 50 years. I've seen some of them, I've interviewed some of them, and they will say, we've been married for. Some of our forefathers were married for 50 years at home. Does not mean they were actually enjoying the marriage. We say they were just they don't come back home. But they will not just want to leave the marriage because what will people say. So the class might be repeating the class. It doesn't mean that you are brilliant. So we just.
Last point. Last, very briefly, please.
Oh, thank you, sir. Love is supposed to be reciprocal. So how do you react when the love is being one-sided, when it's only one person? How do you deal with that? Love is supposed to be reciprocal. Yes. So how do you and the other party is not reciprocating? How do you deal with it?
So I think that, anyway, the way I understand it, from the background of the scripture, what each of the gender is different. Men, we can only say we want love. Really, what it's women that need love. What is women. So we should know what each gender need, and we should make it happen. That's what I can say, so that we won't continue.
Question from Victoria End, please.
Okay,
we can hear you, sir.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank the organizers of the program. More importantly, thank the presenter for a very fantastic. From the questions and response, you can see the challenges that we are facing. The president and I said, this is something broader level that we will have to, but we will need to make it a sustained interaction, kind of continuous sustained interaction, so that we can learn. The reality has been explained, we have a destination that have been different. Good here, bad here, we want to. Yeah, so I'm hoping that the president will take it from, so we cannot finish it. This is today, and in capacity, do it thoroughly and do the same with you. At the end of the day, we'll find a way to see now have an interaction that will involve. One of my brothers asked a question about finance. Some of us will look back and see the way our mothers we will not want our wives to. We definitely will not want our children, our daughters. That which means we are, even as children, we saw something that we say, why is it that we keep, make the marriage last enough? Because our culture, some of them are not that good at all, but just don't want our daughter to go through. So some of the ego and some of the so-called the respect, like when the question of definition of respect is different from the definition of respect. I think the overall what we need to do is to have a more education. Even in terms of destination and expectation, how it's different from the now, and then balance to have a better family. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Akinsami. Please, let's give Dr. Akinsami a round of applause. Thank you very much. So we move on to the next presenter. The floor, please.
Moki Bogoleo. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to I know we all have different things that where we want to be. People, I'm just have about. Can I have the screen of this computer? So in contact so it's just about our health as men, and men's health is the family's health. If we want to have our space in the family, we have to be healthy, and if we are healthy, the family is in a better place economically, emotionally, spiritually, when we take our place in the home. Like we've been talking about, if we are present in the house, if we are happy, if we are physically stable, if we are mentally stable, our relationship, our marriages will be better in a lot of ways. So this 2025 International Men's Day is talking about men's health and wellness. And it's interesting, they also talk about boys, because they are the ones that will grow up into a Londakoko. Okay. I have no disclosure other than I'm also a man. I used to go to a church that the pastor will say that your wife hasn't reported anyone to me. I'm not talking about anyone. So I'm also going to disclose that I have no connection to anybody other than just this presentation, just a reflection for every one of us. So we do know that men will live, we are living longer now, both men and women, but consistently women live longer. Also for us as black men, we also need to reflect that white men live an average of 5 to 7 years longer than us. And why? So this, like I said, it is just a reflection about our health. Why do women live longer than us? And as black men, why do white men live longer than us? One thing that will keep coming back during my presentation is that many of what cause the morbidity and the mortality for us as men are preventable. Okay. So, why do men live shorter? Why do we have a shorter lifespan? Why do black men have a shorter lifespan compared to white men? So in terms of male-female, there are some hypotheses about how our gene, which in terms of X, Y chromosomes, and how our immune system are wired. So some of the hormones that women do have are protective. So that's a biological protection that they have. But outside that, Men, our lifestyle, we are prone to accidents, occupational hazards. Men, we procrastinate. We don't look after ourselves. We don't ask for help. We dismiss all the early signs of things that are coming. And when you get to the hospital eventually, a lot of people, men, in my practice, will have had a lot of these symptoms for years. And just, okay, it's just, let me just buy paracetamol, let's just buy this, and then by the time they are back, the prognosis is, there are a lot of complications. Our vices, smoking, drinking, all these things that we do in excesses, they also eventually do catch up with us as we get older. Okay. Another thing about men is that we talk about, especially for our mental health, the way, I mean, this is one of the downside of the way we were brought up, is that men don't cry, men don't show emotion, just get on with it. And this stop off, there is nothing called depression, there is nothing called anxiety. Stick your head, keep trudging on, even when things are not working, when you need to strategize. Sometimes we struggle to take a step back and reflect and look at more healthy ways of helping ourselves, and also looking at how we can do things differently. We sometimes suffer in silence because we think asking for help is shameful, is weak, and all these kind of negative masculinity, they do eventually catch up and reduce in terms of our mobility. And when I talk about mobility, it's when we get older, living is not even enjoyable because the body is carrying a lot of scar that they shouldn't be carrying. Another thing is, when we are prescribed medications, we don't take it. When we are supposed to do a lot of things that the doctors are telling us, we don't. So why is our health important? And this is what I was saying earlier. Just imagine in this environment, imagine what it takes to build a house, to build a family, to support a family. And that was what Baba was saying, that being a single parent in this environment is not easy. When we experience poor health as men, it affects our income, our children suffer, our wives suffer. And the people at home back in Nigeria suffers as well. Okay. Children who loses their dad, they lose role models. It impacts on their own outlook in terms of school, day-to-day, their own life experience is shattered. So our family is healthy. Our children is they what they want. They feel include to be confident to get on with their own life experiences. So we've said that the leading causes of morbidity and mortality a lot of them are preventable. So there are 5 major leading causes that as far as from evidence that we know. So ischemic heart disease, which talks about our blood pressure, how our heart pumps blood into our body, into our circulation, how all this keeps working as we get older. As we get older, our blood vessels, everything starts from years of working, they start to have problem with how the heart beats and how elastic and stretchy all these vessels are. And this is what causes the blood pressure. Okay. Cancer is still a leading killer of men. And the common ones are in the chest. Prostate cancer is specific for men. And this is one of the leading cause of men death globally. The third one is the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is talking about our lungs. Especially people who have been exposed to a lot of dust, earlier construction, or smoking. All these things, they do catch up eventually with the lungs then not being able to have the elasticity and also the ability for the oxygen to mix with blood effectively in our lungs. Stroke. Again, this links back to how our brain gets the blood supply, and it has to do with a lot of things, including the blood pressure, which again has a lot of factors. Blood glucose comes here as well. And the last one, which is an area where I specialize currently, is about interpersonal violence, suicide, especially in young men, even adults, older adults. Suicide is something that is quite common. So it is important that we take our mental health very, very seriously. Our blood glucose, our weight, our exercise tolerance, all this comes under the metabolic syndromes. Risk factors, diabetes, healthy eating is something everybody talks about. But we still all want to have our big portions. If we don't get the right size or numbers of meat in our meals, we all still frown at our wives at home. These are the things I want us to keep reflecting on. So suicide, depression, I will focus a bit more about stress, depression, stigma, and social isolation later. But it is important that we start to, especially as we black men, we start to reflect on our understanding of emotional well-being, our understanding of mental health, to keep talking about it more openly, to destigmatize what this means, and to help us to understand that these things are treatable, they are real, and a lot of us, one time or the other, have suffered from this, and we could have sought out for help earlier, and maybe things would have been able to get better quicker for us to address all our challenges. I'm not going to focus on this. I've talked about this and this. Okay. So, most of us will talk about, I'm depressed, or I have hypertension, or I have diabetes. But in this environment, especially we've been talking about moving, we've been talking about being in an environment that is alien to us, how it can be difficult to settle down, and when we do settle down, how we have to get into this cycle of catching up with our bills every month, catching up to meet the needs of our family. It does cause a lot of stress. There is no, the evidence is that if you put together 100 men, 60% will say they are stressed. In here and now, 60% are stressed. So, stress causes us a lot of things. And when we are stressed, our body releases some certain hormones, which then have a long-lasting detrimental effect on our system, especially if those stress become chronic. The cortisol is linked to elevated blood pressure, and that causes heart attack, stroke. Stress weakens our immune system. So we start getting more man flus when we are stressed. We start getting infections, chest infections, and this is really important that we know that when we are stressed, it's not just our emotional well-being that is affected, it also have predisposition to make us sick physically. Erectile dysfunction, decreased libido, all these things stress will affect. Stress, when our immune function is deficient, when our blood pressure is high, sometimes people talk about women comfort eating. Men do comfort eat as well. Or we look at other ways of coping, which I will mention in the next slide. We lose our concentration, and over time, we start getting forgetful. So the psychological impact of stress, and this is the easiest. You just see this man, the wife is complaining. He's just irritable at all. No matter what you tell him, he's just. And it's as if he's changed. His anger, our children can even change a remote control in front of us. We get angry. We get withdrawn. We don't want to talk to our friends. We start drinking. And sometimes, interestingly, we are stressed because we are worried about all these bills. Then instead of looking at ways of distressing, we carry on more stress. We get another job, as if that is what is going to make the stress better. And most of the textbooks, medical textbooks, you won't find stress there. The first thing you will come to by the time you then start to look at DSM-5 is depression, anxiety, and people become psychotic sometimes because they are stressed. And we've seen that quite a lot. It's not something that is not uncommon. And this is why sometimes people will talk about why do black men have more psychosis when they move overseas compared to when they are in Nigeria or anywhere in the world. There is clear evidence that psychosis, for one reason or the other, is more common when you are an immigrant. Okay. Suicide. it is important we talk about it. And there are 3 reasons why we need to talk about it. Because it is preventable, because there are always early signs, and because we don't talk about it. And it's usually most people that kill themselves, they don't just come up with that idea now and they do it. It's something that we see early signs. We should not ignore when we see people who are going through difficulties, like Baba was talking about relationship earlier. Reaching out to people, and also when we are going through difficulties, sometimes we have this idea that we are alone, and to make things worse, then we isolate ourselves. We sometimes then, the way a depressed mind thinks is that my lot is the worst in the world. I have the worst luck. My case is irreparable. Prayer does work, but actually having touch of love, personal relationship, Baba was talking about asking for the right advice. Information is sometimes what can change our situation within a second. And sometimes I say to people that when you come overseas, sometimes people say everybody does everything by book. You don't cause corner, there is no nepotism, I disagree with a lot of people. When you still have the right connection, when you have people talk to someone on your behalf, things can change for you, even here in Canada. The way it is in Nigeria is the way it is anywhere in the world. The difference is people will follow due process, but you will know that someone has talked on your behalf. And it is important that we make sure that we reach out and talk, and just don't let be inward. When we are down, when we are facing any situation, let's talk to people, please. I've talked about it. Okay. So how do we prevent this? How can we make things better? How can we, for ourselves' sake, for the sake of our wives, for our children's sake, prolong our lives and reduce our morbidity? We don't just want to then be alive and someone is pushing this for us. We are now a burden to our family. We want to live healthily. We want to be able to enjoy time with our family. We want to be economically available, economically contributing, and taking our place in our homes. Okay? These are things that we all know. But are we doing it? Exercise, personal experience. I have joined the gym a couple of times. Maybe I went a couple of times. Yeah. And every time I do try, and I'm on a different kind of exercise regime that I'm doing now, and it's a bit better in terms of my compliance. But that goes for a lot of us. Let's try. Let's go for walks. If you can afford it, get a small bike or get a small treadmill. If you can, the one that can keep to it, join a gym. If we are taking our children for football activities, while we are waiting for them, let's exercise during those times. The main excuse is there is no time. But if we are smart with it, we will get that time and get these hours that we need in a week. Let's keep cutting, working on our diet. The environment here is different from Africa. Sometimes we don't actually need a lot of organized activities, exercise time in where a lot of us are coming from. Because by the time you go from one end of Lagos to the other, your body is already exercised. Yeah. So sometimes we don't need the amount of food that we eat here. So it's just about the portion. It's not just the portion and what we are putting in there. Let's keep balancing it up. Let's try and reduce how much we drink. If we do drink, I would say no smoking at all, if you can. Let's try and rest as much as we can. And the rest comes from taking time off work, go on holidays with your children. That's a lot of people find that strange, but when we come into this environment, let's try and spend time, especially when you are doing all this round-the-clock work. Having a set time, holiday, having a break is important. It's an environment where we are working 24/7. When we are not working, we are picking, we are catching up with emails, doing everything. But let's have a time to say everything stops. Okay. The next thing is our compliance with treatment and going for routine preventive investigations. Are we checking our blood pressure regularly? Have we had any annual review with our family physician? When was the last time you saw a doctor? Have you had your prostate checked when you are about 40? All these things are quite preventable. It's just not the prostate, there is the colon cancer, the GI screening that they do. All these things, many of us are not even we are not in that network of where someone will remind us that you need to come in for this. Many of us don't have family physician registration. All these are really, really, really important. It's preventable. When your blood glucose, you don't go for your annual routine, you get your diabetes caught early, you can then work on diet. That prevents you from having high blood pressure, from having renal disease, from having cardiovascular disease as a complication of the diabetes. If you get it early and you treat it. Again, congratulations for organizing this today. It's something we need to keep talking about. We need to keep emphasizing it. As a cultural organization, I think this is a very, very good opportunity to talk about this, to talk to people, to emphasize that it's important that we focus on our health. Health is not a weakness, it's power. Being healthy is important. So my final focusing on our health, we are alive, which comply with treatment. Prescribe any medication, let's take. Let's go for our follow-ups. Let's rest. Let's eat more.
Even the body produces sugar. Now, when we go to the store,